In today's video, I am starting with a very bright background, and on top of that, creating a simple, well, fairly simple portrait. I spent about 30 minutes on it. Initially, I planned to do it much faster, but once you get started, sometimes it is hard to stop. So the idea behind that is that because I'm painted the bright color on top of a textured background, when I painted the portrait over the top, the little pieces of the bright pink showed through. And so I just wanted to give you an example of sometimes if you paint a background, maybe that's a color that you're not normally going to use, but when you paint over it, if there was texture below it, then those pieces might pop through if you were mindful of not, obliterating the background. And so I did a lot of scraping and kind of to kind of allow the pink to kind of show through. So anyway, you can see the process that I did. It's in fast forward, so I'm not really talking much through it. I'm just kind of explaining at the beginning and the end kind of what I did. So anyway, I hope that you give it a try, because sometimes we have these bright colors or colors that we don't normally use, and they can look pretty interesting when little bits of them pop through. So anyway, without further ado, let's get started. Don't be scared by this bright pink background. I'm going to be painting over it, and I'm hoping that little pieces of the pink pop through. And that is really why I like starting on a bright background sometimes, is because the little pieces unexpectedly will show through. So I'm using an extremely limited palette. I don't know if it's extreme. I guess extreme would be like black and white, right? But I have Payne's Gray, Ivory Black, Burnt Umber, and I had to think about that, and then Raw Sienna, and then a big tub of Titanium White, which, don't be horrified, but I just dip right in there. And I kind of, honestly, I like the unexpected results that come from little bits and pieces of paint that is left in there. And I know that sounds probably really weird for purists who want their pure white paint, but for me that's not the case. So, and I grabbed a black Stabilo all pencil, because I'm not actually even going to use a reference photo. What I'm going to do is do a really simple portrait, and I'm not using a reference photo, which I almost always do, even for something simple like this, just because it gives me a starting place. But I don't want to make too much of this, and so I'm just going to quickly sketch with this pencil, not even exact, and then just to give me something to begin with. And then I'm mostly going to use paint to sculpt I'm not sculpting. To make the shape. And the way I paint often is to I use the lines as a beginning place, but then I redefine it with paint all the way along. But I do want to keep this fairly short, so I'm hoping not to spend more than 15 or 20 minutes on it. I'm actually going to set a timer. And I'm going to show this to you in fast forward. So it's pretty straightforward what I'm doing, but I just kind of want to talk about the result at the end, but I wanted to show you the process. So I also have a bunch of paintbrushes off to the side. I also have paintbrushes outside of the view of the camera, and mark making tools and color shapers and all kinds of things that I might reach for that I'm just not sure exactly what I'm going to use. So I'm going to set my timer, and then I'm going to begin. And that, like I said, it will be on fast forward. And then I will meet you at the end to kind of talk about the process or what I see that came as a result of that. Okay, I have to call this finished. I think I could keep working on it and keep working on it. But the point was, I hope you can see the pink that popped through, which makes it really, to me, really cool. So certainly I could have kept working this, and I could keep working this. I feel like I want her face to, you know, the shape to be better, or even right here. Yeah, so I can just keep working it and overworking it. But that was not the point of this exercise. It was more like, okay, how do we start on a bright background and then have those colors pop through in a way that's very interesting? And obviously this had a lot of texture underneath that, so that to me is always a plus. I like working on texture because it means that nothing can ever be perfect, and I really like more irregular and imperfect artwork for myself. So I can really admire perfection and accurate representation in other people. But for myself, this is kind of more the style that I like, really irregular. And obviously her hair was really wonky, and I purposely wanted to do that. I purposely wanted her to be a little more wonky, but then I started kind of overworking her face. I thought I was only gonna take 15, 20 minutes. I actually took a full 30, and at 30 I said, okay, you have to stop right now. So anyway, I'm happy with the result, but it was more like to show you how fun it is to start on a bright background and have those colors pop through in unexpected ways. You know, the pink is popping through here, it's in her hair. I overpainted her face. There's a little bit in her face and some in her top or her dress or whatever she's got on here. So anyway, I hope that you give this a try, because certainly for me, it's, you know, I don't typically use pinks or bright reds or bright orange and those kind of colors, but I do like having little aspects of those colors show up. And so it is a fun way to use bright colors if you're like me and you typically use a duller palette. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.